Hi, I'm Jamie Stillman. I'm here to show you the Zoar Dynamic Audio Grinder. The inspiration for the Zoar came from one of my favorite sounds, which is a fuzz face with the guitar volume rolled back a little, run into a Fender amp. And while I feel like it nails that, I wanted something that was a little bit more versatile. For starters, I added the weight control, which controls how much low end gets fed into the circuit. And that's what you would really use to define distortion to fuzz. And then you can further fine-tune the sound with the passive 3-band EQ. Like a lot of our pedals, the name is Ohio-centric. Zoar is a small village just south of Akron where we're located. And it was originally known as a utopian community of dissenters, and the original name was the Separatist Community of Zoar. I just think the name is cool. While the Zoar is inspired by a fuzz, we're putting it more in the distortion category. I think there's a fine line between overdrive, distortion, and fuzz, and it's really subjective from person to person. To me, an overdrive has more clarity, lets a little bit more of the clean signal in. It's a little more transparent with more dynamics. A fuzz is more blown out with a lot of low end, and a distortion is more mid-focused and grinding. You can get everything from a clean boost to an all-out fuzz with it, with just like a little bit of tweaks to the weight control or changing the EQ a little. And if you run it at 18 volts versus 9 volts, there's just a lot of different sounds in there. It also really excels as a bass distortion. It's probably my favorite of all the pedals in our line in bass. Let's take a look at the controls. The Zoar has controls for level, weight, gain, and a passive 3-band EQ with controls for bass, middle, and treble. First, we'll take a look at the gain control. It has a familiar operation in which it goes from the verge breakup to all-out distortion as you turn it clockwise. Next, we'll take a look at the weight control, which I feel is the most important control on Zoar. This is an input-based control, and it boosts bass as you turn it clockwise. In conjunction with the gain control, this is what can define the Zoar as a distortion or a fuzz. Next up is the 3-band EQ consisting of bass, middle, and treble controls. This is a passive EQ modeled on a classic Fender tone stack, but it's heavily modified to work well within the Zoar circuit. The bass control affects frequencies up to 800 Hz. The middle control affects frequencies from 500 Hz up to 3K, and the treble control adjusts frequencies from 1K up. I think the best place to start with Zoar is to put all the tone controls at noon and then turn each one slowly up and down so you can see how they respond. These controls are highly interactive, and a little bit of movement goes a long way. Like most passive EQs, if you turn all the controls all the way down, it kills the frequency bands, resulting in no sound. The last control on Zoar is level, which adjusts the output volume. Unity is usually between 10 and noon, depending on where the other controls are set, and anything above noon is going to overdrive the front end of your amp. Another cool feature of the Zoar is it can be powered up to 18 volts. When run at a higher voltage, the range of clean tones is widened, and the dirty tones are punchier with better note articulation. In addition to that, the low frequencies are tightened, and the high frequencies will cover a broader range without becoming harsh, while the output volume will nearly double. The Zoar also features our flexi switch technology. One of my favorite things about Zoar is how great it sounds on bass. It's got tons of low ends, and with the 3-band EQ, you can dial in a lot of different sounds. It's also really articulate, even with the gain all the way up. I'll show you two of my favorite settings. One's more of an overdrive tone, and the other's a bass-heavy fuzz. Thanks for checking out Zoar with us. To learn more and find a dealer near you, go to earthquakerdevices.com.